It's a new month and it also just happens to be a new week. Welcome to this news broadcast which updates you on the news making headlines in Namibia, across the borders of Africa and internationally. Lined up in this lunch hour. Mind your business, President Hage Geingob tells political analysts. Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair hosts gala dinner to raise funds. Safety and Security Minister demands that a resolution be passed to deal with corrupt police officers. At least 32 people were killed in Madagascar after local bandits known set homes on fire. Stick with us for these stories and more, read to you by me, Diana Master, right here on NMH at 1. In today's midday news update, Cancer Association Awareness Week starts today, and the Cancer Association of Namibia this morning launched their cancer awareness campaign. Kushi Chirange from CAN's National Cancer Registry takes us through the cancer diagnostics in Namibia.
We know that cancer diagnostics and statistics have been increasing over the past few years, from recording up to 1,000 to 3,500 cases per year in just the 10-year gap that we had, or the 10-year range. 55% of those cases are women, 45% are men. Now, there's a lot of theory that lies into why is it more women or why is it more men, but that's just a case of maybe safe spaces have been established for women to come forth and get screened and diagnosed on earlier stages, whereas we still need to do more work for men.
Now remember to engage us on social media and leave your thoughts in the comments as we share stories from local communities on the other side of this short break in our visual news segment.
Flex is your health and fitness show that focuses on the health of the mind, body and spirit. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact zone@synergy.com.na.
Now getting into today's visual news clips. President Hage Geingob took a jibe at political analysts over the weekend, saying they should not concern themselves with the state of the SWAPO party. Geingob was speaking at a Congress of the SWAPO Party Elders Council. Let's take a look.
Solidarity, justice. Then as SWAPO members, there is no way we can die. People are praying, and the prayers here, scholars here, analysts, they see daily SWAPO is dead. They are advising us, by the way, listen here, if you hate SWAPO, SWAPO must die. Why do you advise us? SWAPO must be careful. These scholars, I don't know who they are, but scholars. I know they don't like us, but why try to advise us? SWAPO must be careful, they are losing. Mind your business. We'll organize our own party, maintain our own unity. We have been advised now daily. Be careful. SWAPO is in trouble. We know that. We are not in trouble for the first time. I mentioned the instances where we come from. We went through very difficult times. But when I look at you, you are here. Proudly SWAPO. They would like you to say, I'm not anymore SWAPO. Let them, those who are tired, go. Yeah, it will be a good riddance. But the committed characters that I see here, that I saw with the youth league meeting I closed here or somewhere, I don't know where. The nuns were afflicted. I saw vibrant SWAPO. I was saying, where are they? SWAPO is dead. They are wishing that we are dead. Don't allow them to celebrate by destroying SWAPO.
Now, the Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair hosted their gala dinner on Saturday with the aim of raising funds for the fair. A number of corporates and individuals pledged thousands of dollars and also contributed and offered support to the organizing committee. Here's a video.
We are aware that SMEs are challenged by limited collateral. For example, the bank, with the support of government, has pioneered a credit guarantee scheme initiative, which guarantees 60% of SME loan collateral requirement. This facility is currently administered and available to qualifying SMEs at Standard Bank and First National Bank. More banks and business lenders are expected to join. Under this program, we are saying an SME borrower that could go to the two banks that have signed up on this program, Standard Bank and FNB, and they are judged by these lenders, FNB and Standard Bank, to be qualifying for a loan. The only challenge they are facing is that they don't have the required collateral or security. The officials of these banks can apply on behalf of these SMEs for security up to 60% of your loan requirement at the credit guarantee scheme. So we are saying, as an SME applicant, if you go to any of these banks and the officials are saying, we like your business, we want to give you a loan, but you don't have the required security, ask that official, can you then apply for me for security under the credit guarantee scheme?
We apologize for the poor sound quality. Now, in this next clip, Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security Minister Albert Kawana recently demanded that a resolution be passed that will deal with corrupt police officers, an issue he regards as one that is tarnishing the image of the police and that of the country. Kenya Kambowe was there.
I therefore expect this conference to pass a resolution to review the current policies for the police officers who are committing crimes in order to close loopholes which are there. And here I must also commend our Inspector General, because he does not tolerate any police officer, whatever level, committing crimes. And in most cases, after disciplinary inquiry, disciplinary hearing, these culprits are dismissed from the force in order to make sure that the force is clean, the force is entrusted to administer what is required in terms of our Constitution, in terms of our Police Act, in terms of other laws. We play a pivotal role in our democratic setup. And for this, really, I salute you. I salute also the Inspector General. Because those few elements, whom we call or refer to as rotten apples, they have that effect of tarnishing the entire police force, which is really most unfortunate. And that's why we have to be alert. We are the seniors who are carrying out some of the functions on behalf of the Inspector General. So maybe this area of police involving themselves, some, very few, as I said, very few, in criminal activities, we may have an opportunity to pass a resolution to see how this area can be handled. So this will make it easy for commanders to guard against all those who are tarnishing the good image of the police force and of our beloved country.
We're now going to take a quick ad break, and when we return, we take a look at the news headlining Namibia's daily newspapers.
The Evening Review is a daily interview-based talk show that dissects and expounds on current affairs as they occur in Namibia. The show aims at reaching Namibians of all age groups who seek better understanding of the state of current affairs in the country. This show is broadcasted on NTV, 1up2.com and cross-shared on the following Facebook platforms: Namibian Sun and Namibia Media Holdings. The Evening Review focuses on interviews, latest news and up-to-the-minute current events. Contact evening@synergy.com.na. Evening Review, unpacking today's pertinent issues.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. Now let's take a look at what the lead stories are in Namibia's daily newspapers. The first paper under review, the Namibian Sun, leads with an update on the vote by civil servants, which is that thousands of civil servants, mostly teachers, have voted to strike over salary increases. Voting results show putting them on course for what could be the biggest industrial action the country has seen since independence. A total of 42,216 civil servants voted in favor of a strike during the two-day voting process, while 1,232 voted against it, according to an announcement by the National Returning Officer Thomas Nilonga yesterday. In another story, the paper reports that new revelations in the Pala Pala farm saga revealed that President Hage Geingob had held a private meeting with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa's envoy Bajani Chauke and head of security Wally Rood. The pair was flown into Windhoek with a Namibian police helicopter in pursuit of Namibian suspects who broke into Ramaphosa's private farm and allegedly stole 13 million Namibian dollars in cash. On its page 3, SWAPO Party Youth League cannot suspend me, says the so-called SWAPO swindler, as reported on the Namibian Sun's page 3. The paper reports that the SWAPO Party Youth League is caught between a rock and a hard place over its fraud-accused Kavango West Secretary Bonifacius Muronga, who claims the wing cannot suspend him because his matter is before the courts. Muronga, who faces 16 counts of fraud after he allegedly forged the signature of SWAPO Secretary General Sophia Shanigwa, told and used President Hage Geingob's name to extort money from his former lover, said he was not given an opportunity to air his side of the story to the SWAPO Party Youth League leadership. Now moving over, the Afrikaans Daily Republican reports on its front page that fuel dealers have this past weekend welcomed the increase of 50 cents per litre, which was passed through the Ministry of Mines and Energy on the retail margin, but in the same breath expressed their disappointment that it is significantly lower than what they expected and negotiated. The Fuel and Franchise Association says the adjustment, although it is a step in the right direction, is quote-unquote significantly lower than recommended as a minimum upside adaptation to sustainable and ensure profitable retail operations. Now, Republicans page 2 reports that the organizations of community forests and conservation areas in the Kavango regions' pending court application against the Environment Commissioner and Reconnaissance Energy Namibia to further stop drilling in this region is rejected. Although the case could be shown due to a defect to urgency of the hand, it was indeed appropriate to reject the application on the grounds that the court does not have jurisdiction to the application dealt with when the minister under the law has power to the issue, said the judge Thomas Masuku's judgment, which Friday in the High Court of Windhoek was delivered. Now, in an article last week, Algemene Zeitung reported on a permit issued to a firewood and charcoal producer by the Ministry of Agriculture. This involved 300 tons of protected camelthorn wood that was to be exported to South Africa. The ministry gave a limited response on the matter. On its page 3, Algemene Zeitung reports that after raising 146 million Namibian dollars in the first round, the Beef Value Chain Forum is now seeking to increase the amount to 200 million Namibian dollars in a second capital allocation, preferably from investments by cattle producers alone. That brings us to the end of the first half of our newspaper review. We get into the second half right after the break.
In the Orongo region. For news-related or advertising queries, contact irongotalk@synergy.com.na. Irongo Talk, our community, your news.
Now, the Namibian newspaper starts off the second half of our newspaper review, and it reports that the Chief of Namibian Police Inspector General Sebastian Detunga remarked that, if anything, that Popular Democratic Movement's councillor Rodman Kachaimo did in organizing his overseas trip smacks of human trafficking. They will investigate, and the guilty parties will be brought to book. In a separate story, the paper reports that former Minister of Education, Arts and Culture, Katrina Hanse-Himarwa, told crowds at a SWAPO event in the south that no opposition councillor would be successful in their duties under the SWAPO-led government. Hanse-Himarwa, speaking in Afrikaans at the event over the weekend, saying that the government would never allow opposition members to successfully implement projects to make them look good. The Namibian on its page 3 reports that the detained activist Dimbulukeni Nauyoma from the AR and Namibia Economic Freedom Fighters member Michael Amushelelo will have to wait 3 weeks to hear if their appeal to be granted bail has been successful. Judges Christy Liebenberg and Dina Usiku reserved the judgment on the two men's bail appeal after hearing arguments in Windhoek High Court on Friday. Moving over, New Era reports that more than 200 workers of the Combat Copper Mine in the Otjozondjupa region near Otavi have been retrenched, as the mine, which is owned by Canadian company Trigon Metals, is allegedly expecting to immediately cease operations. Retrenchment reports on Thursday came from some of Combat's 220 employees who alleged that the mine is not offering any retrenchment packages. Although Namibia is currently not a major producer of copper, international drops in international copper prices by about 20% could be a deciding factor by mine management to either close down or enter into care and maintenance. On its page 3, the New Era reports that a family from a village near Opuwo says their brother, a trial-awaiting suspect, desperately needs a traditional cleansing. They say Uyama Chinge, who was arrested in 2018 for suspected rhino poaching, has developed mental health issues while in prison for the last 5 years, and are requesting the police to allow them to bring a traditional healer to the holding cells in Oshwarongo to do a cleansing ritual, or for their brother to be granted bail so that he can be taken to the traditional healer. Moving over to the front page of Market Watch, the fact that Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov made a high-profile trip to Africa in the throes of Russia's war on Ukraine reveals how much Russia needs Africa. Russia is the source of less than 1% of the foreign direct investment into Africa. Substantively, then, Russia brings little to the continent. A priority for Lavrov's trip to Egypt, the Republic of the Congo, Uganda, and Ethiopia was to show that Russia is not isolated internationally despite expansive Western sanctions. Russia was also vying to normalize an international order where might makes right, and democracy and respect for human rights are optional. Now, around 11,000 hectares of land in Namibia is currently irrigated, with 40% land area that can still potentially be irrigated. This and more news from the economic space right after this break.
The My.NA Cars Show provides viewers with the best in-class cars content, engaging interviews, as well as a showcase of the latest cars-related news, products, and services. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact My.NA at synergy.com.na. My.NA Cars, more than just a ride.
Headlining today's economic news, around 11,000 hectares of land in Namibia is currently irrigated, with 40% land area that can still potentially be irrigated. Agriculture Minister Kau Schlettwein highlighted this during a presentation to the Governors Forum in Katima Mulilo. The minister said the main activities in the agriculture sector are livestock farming, which contributes 4.7 billion Namibian dollars to the economy, and horticulture farming, which contributes 3.52 billion Namibian dollars. He said the sector employs approximately 23% of the total workforce and contributes between 5% and 7% to the gross domestic product. Limited high input costs, however, make agricultural entrepreneurship an expensive undertaking in Namibia, the minister explained. He further noted that although 70% of Namibians depend on agriculture, there is limited potential as only 27,000 hectares of land is considered suitable for irrigation. He said the annual demand for grain in the country is 200,000 tons, while production is only between 60,000 and 80,000 tons per year, leaving a deficit that has to be imported. According to Schledwein, the meat and grain processing industry in Namibia is fairly developed, but there is more scope for a diversified value chain. The ministry is currently putting the winter and summer green schemes into production while completing the process of outsourcing in accordance with the green scheme policy. 8 irrigation projects are due for outsourcing to private investors by competitive bidding, Schledwein said. He added that requests for proposals are expected to be issued in phases over the next 6 months. The first request for proposals for the Ongwediva dairy farm has closed and the ministry is currently evaluating the bids, he said. Now in our next story, Russia's military offensive in the Ukraine represents a downside risk for international tourism, with it already intensifying high oil prices and transportation costs, increasing uncertainty and causing disruption of travel in Eastern Europe. This is according to the World Tourism Organization, which said Russia bookings for outbound flights plunged in late February and early March, but have also since rebounded. Despite the conflict, European air traffic has grown steadily from mid-March to early May, it said, and air bookings also show rising demand for intra-European travel and for flights from the United States of America to Europe. The easing of travel restrictions is contributing to the normalization of travel, with 36 countries that have lifted all COVID-19 related travel restrictions as of 13 May, but the conflict continues to pose a serious threat to recovery. The UNWTO added that the conflict risks hampering the return of confidence to global travel source markets. The US and Asian source markets could be particularly impacted, especially regarding travel to Europe, as these markets are historically more risk averse. As source markets, Russia and Ukraine represent a combined 3% of global spending on international tourism as of 2020, it said. A prolonged conflict should translate into a loss of $14 billion in tourism receipts globally in 2022. In 2019, Russian spending on travel abroad reached $36 billion, and Ukrainian spending stood at $8.5 billion. In 2020, these values were down to $9.1 billion and $4.7 billion respectively. According to latest statistics, Namibian foreign arrivals from Russia stood at 3,304 last year, with predictions that these could increase to 7,278. Now let's take a look at the economic indicators. Capricorn Investment Group stock prices are up by 4.4% on the NSX, while First Run Namibia Limited observed a 1.5% drop in price. SBN Holdings has seen a drop in stock prices, now trading at $4.32 on the NSX. All these major commodities are up in price, with zinc jumping 4.17% and copper now trading at $7,710. Now after the break, we take a look at the latest stories from around Africa. Uganda has been hit by deadly flash floods, while at least 32 people were killed in Madagascar after local bandits set homes on fire. More coming up on NMH at 1.
Careers Bistro focuses on the movers and shakers in the corporate world. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact Zone at synergy.com.na.
You're still watching NMH at 1. We now take a look at the latest stories from Africa and later on extend to the rest of the globe. Starting off, at least 32 people were killed in Madagascar in an area north of the capital on Friday after local bandits known as Dahalo set homes on fire, according to statements by the Defense Ministry. The killings occurred in Ankazobe district, about 75 kilometers north of the capital Antananarivo, overnight into Friday. People here experienced a real tragedy. Many lives were lost. 32 people died. It is a crime perpetrated by ruthless Dahalo who burned alive women and children, Defense Minister General Richard Rakotonorina said in a video posted on the ministry's Facebook page late on Saturday. The Dahalo are organized criminal gangs in parts of Madagascar that steal cattle from community members and orchestrate other various forms of banditry, Rakotonorina said. We will hunt down those who committed this crime and their accomplices. He added that security forces had been deployed to the area to hunt down the perpetrators. He said the attack on the area was likely revenge by the Dahalo against community members for providing information to security personnel during previous operations against them. Now in our next story, at least 10 people are dead and dozens missing following flash floods around the Ugandan city of Mbale, rescue workers say. Several rivers burst their banks in the eastern Bugisu and Survey regions following hours of torrential rain. Homes have been washed away and crops destroyed. The Uganda Red Cross said rescue efforts were impossible in some areas as roads had been cut off, some by mudslides. Parts of eastern Uganda have suffered from numerous incidents of flooding and landslides. Deforestation to build homes and make way for farming, as well as the population growth, are contributing to the problem. Now, the ruling coalition of President Macky Sall in Senegal has claimed victory in the country's parliamentary elections. The former Prime Minister Aminata Touré said on television that the coalition had won 30 of the country's 45 administrative departments, giving it a slim parliamentary majority. However, the leader of the main opposition coalition, the mayor of the capital, Dakar, has contested that claim. Barthélemy Diaz said it was not Ms. Touré's place to announce the election results. The opposition wants to ensure that President Sall does not stand for a third presidential term. The constitution sets a limit of 2 terms, but Mr. Sall has refused to rule out running for a third term. Senegalese voted this Sunday to elect the country's deputies. These elections stand as a decisive test for opposition parties trying to tackle the ruling party's influence ahead of the presidential election in 2024. Many fear President Macky Sall may seek a third term. About 7 million voters were called to elect the 165 deputies in the National Assembly. The political atmosphere is tense in the Western African country, even more so since the list of the opponent Ousmane Sonko was rejected for this vote. During protests in June, 3 people died. Now in our next story, Russia pummels Ukraine's Mykolaiv, killing a major grain exporter. Coming up after the break as we move on to the international news on the other side of this break.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia as we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and 1up2.com, as well as broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Allgemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
And now for the international news. Heavy Russian strikes have hit the southern Ukrainian port city of Mykolaiv, killing the owner of one of the country's largest grain-producing and exporting companies, the local governor has said. Oleksiy Vadotursky, founder and owner of agriculture company Nibulon, was killed along with his wife in their home, Mykolaiv Governor Vitaly Kim said on Telegram on Sunday. With its headquarters in Mykolaiv, a strategically important city that borders the mostly Russia-occupied Kherson region, Nibulon specializes in the production and export of wheat, barley, and corn, and it has its own fleet and shipyard. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky described Vadaturksky's death as a great loss for all of Ukraine, saying the businessman had been in the process of building a modern grain market involving a network of transship terminals and elevators. 3 people were also wounded in the attacks on Mykolaiv, the city's mayor Alexander Senkevich told Ukrainian television, adding that 12 missiles had hit homes and educational facilities. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces hit Russia's Black Sea Fleet headquarters in Russian-held Sevastopol early on Sunday. 5 staff members were wounded in the attack when what was presumed to be a drone flew into the courtyard at the headquarters, he said. We're now going to take a quick ad break, and when we return, we get into our local sports news. Stay with us.
In Business 7, you get news on current economic, financial, and business matters in Namibia. The weekly show features interviews with experts and in-depth analysis of burning issues in a way that caters for ordinary Namibians and business connoisseurs alike. For news-related or advertising queries, please contact B7 at synergy.com.na.
Now let's take a look at the news headlining the local sports scene. Namibia's Helalia Johannes says the future now depends on the reaction of her body after scooping a bronze medal in the women's marathon at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, England. The 2022 Commonwealth Games bronze medalist Helalia Johannes will decide on her future after consulting with her coach Robert Kagwena. Johannes won Namibia's first medal of the Games after finishing third in a time of 2.28.39. Great Britain's Jessica Stinson won and took the gold medal, while Kenya's Margaret Mariuki took the silver medal in an intense race. Renan Wantana was fourth in his 100-meter breaststroke heat, clocking 1.3 minutes and 14 seconds. On Saturday, Alexander Skinner on the hand was seventh, clocking 50.40 seconds in the men's 100-meter freestyle. Namibia's Johannes Junius yesterday advanced to the quarterfinals in the light welterweight division after beating Rashield Williams of the Bahamas 5-0 in the round of 16. In our next story, Swakopmund Football Club were crowned champions of the Yongos Valley Winter Cup after beating Quality FC in the final. Futsal Namibia founder Andre Titiral has expressed gratitude towards everyone that made the Yongos Valley tournament a success. The tournament took place this weekend at the Windhoek Showgrounds, with Swakopmund Futsal Club beating Quality FC 7-5 in the final. Swakopmund FC received a check of 5,000 Namibian dollars after winning the Futsal Winter Cup. In our next story, FNB University of Namibia outclassed bottom of the log FNB Rio Falcon on Saturday with a runaway 88-7 win. UNAM consolidated their third position in the league standings, running in 13 tries to just 1 by the visitors. In another match, FNB Western Suburbs made a convincing comeback after the previous weekend's loss to FNB Wanderers, beating 31-17 at the Hage Geingob Stadium. Grootfontein challenge for a top 4 spot came up short despite leading 7-5 half-time as Commersdal team took over in the second half. At the coast, FNB Kudu-1 pocketed a 22-15 win against Wanderers. The hosts managed to score 3 tries, 2 conversions, and a penalty in a hard-hitting, adrenaline-fueled game. That's it for the local sports news. After the break, international sports news.
AgriMonitor is jou weeklikse landboukundige program wat jou die jongste nuus in die landbouverwante bedryf en onderwerpe wat daaraan gekoppel is, bring. Vir enige advertensie of nuusverwante navrae, kontak agrimonitor@synergy.com.na.
Starting off our international sports news, Liverpool's new striker Darwin Núñez scored a late goal on his debut as they drew first blood in the season's rivalry with Manchester City after a 3-1 win in Saturday's Community Shield. The Uruguayan, bought from Benfica for an initial fee of €75 million, made himself an instant fan favourite after capping a lively appearance off the bench with a stoppage time goal to secure the first trophy of the season. English champion City started their big close season signing Norway's Erling Haaland, but in contrast to Núñez, he had a disappointing debut, missing several chances and struggling to combine with his new teammates. Moving over to our next story, a Sevens masterclass by the Springbok Sevens side allowed them to claim gold at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham on Sunday night as they swept aside Fiji 31-7 in a one-sided final. There are a few times that you would see the Olympic champions being so comprehensively outplayed as they were in the final, but this was a masterclass where the Blitzboks didn't allow the South Sea magicians any leeway and ensured they took the flair and magic out of the contest to claim a magnificent gold. With it, the Blitzboks repeated their Commonwealth triumph in Glasgow in 2014 and gave themselves a boost ahead of the World Cup at home in September. This was no mean feat considering they lost the services of captain Siviwe Soizwapi and playmaker Ronald Brown to injury before the final. Moving over, an extra time strike from forward Chloe Kelly gave England a 2-1 win over Germany in the Women's European Championship final on Sunday to claim their first ever major title in front of a record crowd on home soil. Substitute Kelly reacted quickest to a loose ball from a corner in the second period of extra time to give her side the win and avenge their defeat by Germany in the 2009 Euro final in Helsinki. England coach Serena Wiegman became the first manager to win the Euros, with two different nations having led her native Netherlands to the title in 2017. I just can't stop crying. We talk, we walk, and we talk, and we finally done it. You know what? The kids are all right. This is the proudest moment of my life, England captain Leah Williamson said pitchside. Well, that's it for our sports news. We're now going to take a quick ad break, and when we return, we get into the highlights. Yes. If you've just joined us, you're watching NMH at 1. Here are your news highlights. President Hage Geingob took a jibe at political analysts over the weekend, saying they should not concern themselves with the state of the SWAPO party. At least 32 people were killed in Madagascar in an area north of the capital on Friday after local bandits known as Dahalo set homes on fire, according to the statements by the Defense Ministry. Namibia's Helalia Johannes says the future now depends on the reaction of her body after scooping a bronze medal in the women's marathon at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, England. That is it for our highlights, and with that we have come to the end of the show. Thank you for staying with NMH at 1 and spending your lunch hour with me, Diana Master. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. as we take you through the latest happenings in Namibia and beyond. That's it from us in studio, but stick around for our regional review segment.
Good day, viewers. Welcome to another episode of Regional Review on this very, very, very cold, chilly morning. I am your host, Nole Mongoba, and on today's show, it is known as the Far North edition. So I will be taking you through the news that transpired in the four corners of the country. So please stay tuned and stay tuned for our next segment. Today on our promo calendar, we are celebrating the 1st of August, which is also known as Girlfriend's Day. Remember, girlfriend, not girlfriend in a romantic way, but rather girlfriend in a platonic way, that you have a female friend or a female associate that you really trust and consider your friend. So let us celebrate this day by showing love to all of our loved ones and watch the short promo video prepared by NMH. For our first youth segment, we went to go visit Mwashipandeka Secondary School as they prepared for their newspaper project that the school publishes themselves. So we visited the team and we had a little chat with them, and we were busy following them around as they were busy staging school content and posing for photos. Please do watch out for all of the school newspapers that are under the Namibia Media Holdings brand, as the Mwashipandeka Secondary School newspaper comes out next week.
Yeah, the way you were. Okay. I can't smell like that. Yeah, like that. No. Come check. Oh, I love this. Yo, okay. No, you're supposed to cut here. They're only supposed to see my head. Exactly.
Anna, please tell people why they should make sure that they get their hands on Mwishi BuzzFeed when it's out.
So I would really want to advise everyone to get their hands on Mwishi BuzzFeed, for everyone just to check out how we are doing it, and maybe if they would want to give us something new for us to pull up or something, and just comment on that.
Okay. What makes Mwishi BuzzFeed unique compared to other school newspapers?
I would really not. I really don't know, but from my point of view, I would say Mwishi BuzzFeed is unique because I know, like, not all newspapers, like we, the journalists that are writing Mwishi BuzzFeeds, are not the ones that are writing, let me say, for the one for GT and other schools. That is what makes it unique.
Thank you very much, Anna. Any last messages to fellow aspiring journalists?
Oh, so guys, I don't have much to say, but let's just write this. Nothing but the tea.
Period.
What the hell did you guys do?
How do you go to the pictures?
Are you taking videos of us?
Samuel, when are you going to start writing your response?
About right now, I am.
Okay.
Can I have a book?
For our second news segment, the Omuthia Town Council successfully launched the Omuthia Ethithia Festival and Career Fair on Friday in Omuthia last week. So the team celebrated the first ever launch of the festival in the capital city of the region, which is Omuthia, and there were a lot of dignified speakers such as the Minister of Information Technology, as well as a representative from the Ministry of Education, as well as different mayors from surrounding towns.
It's very important that we follow through and do not forget what our leaders tell us. They give us information. So it is up to us as residents of Omuthia to make use of such information and develop our beautiful capital of the Oshikoto region. My task here was very simple, was to welcome you all, but I felt it was very necessary to encourage you and appreciate the hard work that you've done, the investment that you've made into this event, in order to ensure that it's a success. And with no doubt, it is a success. So, welcome. This is group. Okay.
What do you want to study? Do we know what you want to study? You can't be grade 11 if you're not sure what you want.
guys, come to Msati. We offer the best electric engineering. Yes. Msati region, our fight is on your way to Rakana. That's where we are. So you guys must come and study with us. Yes, you can take the brochures. I don't have application forms. I wanted to get your teacher's contact so that I can send them when they are out around August. Then you can get it. No, this is for people that are already working. No.
Hi guys, thank you so much. What's the school's name? Sorry, I didn't get that. How many branches do you have? Okay, you okay. How much is the study?
And for our last news segment today, the Namibia Media Holdings team was present and was part of the media team of the Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair Gala Dinner. So the Gala Dinner was held so that different organizations and individuals can pledge funds towards the trade fair, which is scheduled to take place from the 26th to the 1st of September. There were lots of present dignitaries as well as companies and organizations from surrounding parts of the town, which is Ongwediva. So please watch this video for more.
To go for 25 years for the annual Ongwediva Trade Fair, sustained for 17 years. We would like to continue our partnership with the forum with a pledge, a firm pledge, not a small amount. Ladies and gentlemen, here with Elton Kakangolosea Feko Mirunga, says 550,000 Namibian dollars. Here with MTC commits. I thank you.
One more time, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause. Omache, 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 Omache.
Bookings for Namibia Tourism Expo 2022 are open. The expo will take place from 3 to 5 November 2022 in Windhoek. To secure your booking, visit nte.nmh.com.na, and for more information on the expo, follow all Namibia Media Holdings platforms. The expo is supported by the Ministry of Environment, Tourism and Forestry, Namibia Tourism Board, FENATA, City of Windhoek, and Namibia Media Holdings. Namibia Tourism Expo, taking tourism to the regions.
3, 2, 1.
We Talk brings you community news that lies at the heart of Windhoek residents. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact wetalk@synergy.com.na. You live, we talk.
Umuthia is hot today with wind expected this afternoon. By Thursday, a high of 37 is forecast, which will continue for the rest of next week. Oshakati is very hot with a high of 35 forecast for Thursday, and which is expected to increase to 38 by the weekend. Ondangwa is a sunny and hot 34 degrees at the moment, with highs of 38 and 39 expected over next week. Inanna is partly sunny and hot today, but extreme highs are forecast here too. Finally, Utapia is somewhat cooler than elsewhere this week, with temps currently in the high 20s and highs of 33 expected towards the weekend.
Thank you so much, viewers, for tuning into the Far North edition of Regional Review. As I mentioned, it is a very, very chilly morning. Thank you so much to all our viewers who are constantly tuning in. We appreciate your support. Continue to support all of our other channels. So from myself to Nole Mongoba and the rest of the Namibia Media Holdings team, it is goodbye.